kind of like side-eyeing that a little bit because I felt like it hadn't been given enough time to have such a title. For me, anything that happens too fast, it can also be reversed in the same way just as fast. The cedi, you can't take the cedi and go to some country and say, oh, I've got cedi, can you change it for me? Like, it's not going to happen. It feels like there is more stability in holding the dollar than there is in the cedi. The fluctuation that happens with the cedi is just too much. People understand dollars more than they do understand the currency of cedis, because if you come to me and you say, oh, this thing is a million cedis, I'm gonna have to rack my brain for a minute. And all these things we can have our own of. When it comes to cars, Kantanka has been here for how long? Nobody wants to buy a Kantanka car. We are putting a lot of pressure on needing the dollar. And so the cedi just gets gradually weaker and weaker and weaker. You have the dollar. The dollar definitely feels more weighty in comparison to, you know, holding on to the cedi. I can save my cedis today, and before I know it, it's dropped. Now my buying power is so much less. It's like, hey guys, welcome back. Okay, in today's video, I want us to talk about what is happening with the cedi at the moment, right? So I did a video a few months ago where I spoke about how the cedi, the pound was becoming weaker in comparison to the cedi. And at the time, I think it was, the pound was around 16 or something like that. And I thought it was going to sort of stabilize them, because every few years, this same pattern happens every single time, where the cedi starts to gain a bit of strength, you know, and so the other currencies kind of fall a bit, but usually it kind of bounces back, right? So I kind of felt like it was the same situation that was happening this time, but this time has definitely felt a bit different. So I want us to talk about it today. So as I speak right now, the cedi is losing its strength. So all over, you see articles and things everywhere saying the cedi is the best performing currency. I was kind of like side-eyeing that a little bit because I felt like it hadn't been given enough time to have such a title. But hey, I'm not hating on anybody. If you got that title, you got that title. It's my people, so I can't be mad. But I felt like it was a little bit premature to be celebrating like that, because I've seen so many fluctuations in the past, right? But this definitely happened to be a very quick fluctuation. The cedi definitely gained strength very, very quickly. And for me, I felt like it gained it too quickly. And that's where my was from. Because for me, anything that happens too fast, it can also be reversed in the same way just as fast. So it didn't really make sense to me. So I was trying to understand what was causing the cedi to gain so much strength, right? So as I speak today, the rates have changed again. So it had gone down, the pound had gone down to as low as 13, right? So 13 cedis to £1, and the dollar went to about 10 to a pound, 10 cedis to the dollar, something like that, right? And that's kind of where it sort of stabilized. But now the dollar and the pound are gaining strength again. Now, what's the reason behind it? Actually, they haven't gained strength. The cedi has weakened. So what is the reason for the cedi weakening? So I've been doing a little bit of research, and because I really wanted to understand what it was. As I said before, I feel like this time around, it has been a little bit different. It's not been the general fall that usually happens. I feel like this time it has been a little bit different. So honestly speaking, when it comes to the cedi, I'm just going to be honest here, I feel like people don't have confidence in it. People don't believe that it can really hold its own in a market of all these other currencies that stand, right? Pretty much everywhere you go, we deal with the dollar. You know, if you have the dollar in your pocket, you can go to pretty much any country and, you know, you can do some exchanging of money. The cedi, you can't take the cedi and go to some country and say, oh, I've got cedi, can you change it for me? Like, it's not going to happen. You're going to have to change your money to dollars first before you'll be able to go and spend your money in that way. Right, so already the cedi's not, people don't have as much confidence in it as you do with the dollar, the pound, or the euro, right? Those are the three very strong currencies that we know of. Now, because of that, because of the way that Ghana earns and spends money, it does it in dollars. As I said, when it comes to trade, we have to trade in dollars. We don't trade in cedi because not everywhere is going to take the cedi from us. So we're always having to convert our money from cedis into dollars. Pound, not so much. Dollar is definitely a more favorable currency when it comes to the system, right? People favor the dollar over the pound. Even though the pound is a bit stronger, people favor the dollar, right? So we're having, every time Ghana wants to buy something, we have to change our cedi into dollars in order to be able to purchase. And so that's where people just don't have confidence in what the cedi is, right? So it's causing a problem across the board. You know, one of the things that Ghana does is that we import more than we export, and that's having a huge effect on the economy, okay? Because we're bringing things in all the time, and to buy those things, we're having to use the dollar to buy it. We're not buying with cedis. Nobody's gonna walk away with using cedis that we've given them to go and continue their business. Everybody wants the dollar. And so we are importing more than we are exporting. So when we're exporting things, there's not an equal change when it comes to the currency. So therefore, people just don't have confidence in it. So people feel like, you know what, actually, if I can hold on to the dollar, it'll be better for me. It feels like there is more stability in holding the dollar than there is in the cedi. The fluctuation that happens with the cedi is just too much. It doesn't take much in order for the cedi to kind of go like this. And so therefore people don't have confidence in it, which is why you find a lot of businesses here that are now saying, you know, hey, yeah, we accept the cedi, but we want to price our items in dollars in order to make sure that, you know, we get fair exchange for our money. And it's really funny because when the cedi started to gain strength, now everybody was like, oh, I'm going to price in cedis. You know, everybody's looking for the best deal that they can get for themselves. But, you know, the law has also now, the government has come out with this thing where, you know, you're not supposed to price in dollars anymore. Everything is supposed to be in cedi. Now, whether or not that is going to actually take hold is going to be another thing, right? Because people are so used to pricing in dollars, and people understand dollars more than they do understand the currency of cedis. Because if you come to me and you say, oh, this thing is 1,000,000 cedis, I'm gonna have to rack my brain for a minute, and I'll probably have to pull out my phone and do it on the calculator. 1,000,000 cedis is what? Yeah, it doesn't really compute. Whereas if you tell me the dollar, I understand the numbers straight away. And so I'm not really sure how that is going to really, I don't know how the government is going to really enforce that situation, because, you know, someone rightly said, I watched Authentic African the other day. Him and Ivy were talking about the cedi, and, you know, Authentic African made a really good point and said, you know, where the government has come out and said, you know, when it comes to rentals, you're only supposed to rent for 6 months, but people are still doing it for 2 years. They're still quoting, well, if you want this house, you have to rent it for 2 years, 1 year. And when was that? That happened, I think maybe around 2015, 2016, that was imposed. But up till today, people still do it. Like there's no real enforcement. So I'm not sure how they're going to be able to enforce the fact that you shouldn't price things in dollars anymore, because people will still say, well, you know, yeah, it's in cedis. They can give you the cedi price, but they're not taking the cedi from me. They're still going to take the dollar from me. They want the dollar. You know, Ghana imports so many things. Some of the things I feel like are unnecessary, but some things, I guess, is where people have confidence, right? So we import rice. I mean, we can't grow our own rice, but people want American rice. I remember when I came to Ghana, there was the whole thing around, oh, no, I don't want local rice. I want American rice. I don't know what American rice is, but it's American rice. So people, you know, we import rice, cars, toothpicks. I mean, come on, like toothpicks. I don't understand why we are importing toothpicks. But I'm sure there's a story behind it, because the toothpicks thing has been going around for a long time, and I don't really understand why no one has decided to create toothpicks here in Ghana. I don't know if it's lack of confidence in a manufacturer here that does toothpicks, or we just don't take it seriously. I don't know what it is. But that is some of the issues that we have here. We are importing so many things that technically some of these things we can have our own of. When it comes to cars, Kantanka has been here for how long? Nobody wants to buy a Kantanka car. I don't understand it. But we'd rather import. And when we keep doing that, we're relying on the dollar. That's what it is. We need the dollar. So there's this constant thirst for the dollar and not the cedi. So it's a problem. We are importing so many things and we're not exporting. So therefore, there is no balance within the currency. So to be able to pay for these imported items, we need the dollar to pay for it. And every time we require the dollar, the cedi gets weaker. We are putting a lot of pressure on needing the dollar. And so the cedi just gets gradually weaker and weaker and weaker. Right now, there is no confidence within the cedi. You know, people want to hold on to the dollar. They'll tell you, listen, I'd rather take the dollar. Even when even when the cedi was gaining strength, people still wanted to hold on to the dollar because at any moment, because of the past, the history that we've had with this when it comes to the cedi, we know that anything can happen. People have made money just by holding onto the dollar. Like the dollar falls, okay, you know what? This is when I'm going to buy the dollar. I'm going to hold on to it because I know at some point it's going to gain its strength back. So they buy it low and then it shoots back up and then they've made money. And so people have more confidence in that rather than understanding that the cedi is going to remain stable for a long period of time because we haven't seen it yet. So there is no confidence in the cedi in that respect. You know, we also have to understand that Ghana owes money, and I feel like that's one of the most crippling things that we have here, right? Ghana has a lot of debt. Again, the same thing. No one's taking cedis from Ghana. We have to convert to dollars. And we're talking about huge sums of money here. We're not talking about $1 million or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it is huge sums of money, and we're having to convert our cedis to dollars, again, requiring dollars in the system in order to pay off these debts. And because of that, it's holding the country back. I don't know, will Ghana ever pay off its debts? Most countries have debt, right? I don't know how that can be rectified unless the cedi unless people begin to take the cedi more seriously and it becomes a major player when it comes to foreign currency. But until that point, we still have to deal with the dollar. And while that goes on, the cedi is going to be at a disadvantage, and it's going to remain that way until people have a vote of confidence in the cedi. Also, another thing that's affecting the economy here is that, you know, a lot of foreign investors are pulling it out because they feel like it's too volatile to invest in Ghana. Nobody knows what's really happening with the money. 1 minute it's up, next minute it's down. It's like you're scared because you don't know if you're going to lose your investment. So whereas where people had invested in bonds, in businesses, they're like, things are becoming a little too unstable. People didn't know how far, you know, the money was going to fall, how much it's going to rise. And so there's no confidence. So foreign investors are pulling out their money. They'd rather go and invest into an economy somewhere else where it's a little bit more stable and they can predict the future of how their money is going to grow. If you can't, like for me, I'm not going to invest in something where I can't see what potential my returns are going to be on my investment. I'm not going to take that chance. As much as I love Ghana, I'm not going to take the chance of, well, this could all collapse and blow up in my face just because I want to support. I'm not going to do that with my money. No. I'm going to put my money where I can see that, you know what, there's a bit of stability here. And so that's the issue that people are having. Foreign investors are coming and pulling out their money because it's just too much. The way that the cedi gained strength was just way too fast, in my opinion. It's just way. If it was a gradual thing that the cedi had become stronger, I'd be like, okay. They must have put some things into place in order for, you know, the cedi to have gained strength. Okay, so what is it? What is going on? There needs to be some understanding. But really, you can talk to 100 people as to why the cedi gained strength so quickly, and you'll get 100 different answers. There is no categorical answer as to this is what it is. This is where the money came from in order for people to feel like, okay, now I can understand, okay, whether it was because Ghana did something with gold and therefore that's why the cedi has gained strength. Okay, I can understand that. And so then they have something to hold on to. But where you're getting 100 different answers, it's because of this, it's because of that, it's because of this, it's because of that. No one has confidence. So it's like, you know what, this is too messy for me, I'm out. And that's why people are pulling their money out from Ghana, unfortunately. But for me personally, I still feel like Ghana, high risk, high reward. Sometimes you're going to win, sometimes you're going to lose. You know, I'm here, I deal with a lot of foreign currency, right? For the most part, when I get money, it is in foreign currency, you know, and so sometimes I'm going to win, but I also understand that sometimes I'm going to lose because sometimes the cedi is going to get stronger and therefore my foreign currency is not going to be, going to give me as much as I had hoped. So I can't complain. Do you know what I'm saying? Because most of the time I've been up, so I can't complain in that respect. And so it's kind of like you have to, when you come to Ghana, you almost have to be prepared for that fluctuation, and you can't be mad about it, and you can't make it to be the thing that says, well, okay, I'm going to leave Ghana now because you know what, I don't know what's going on with the economy. Sometimes you're going to be up, sometimes you're going to be down. That's how it is. And so you get used to the fluctuation, you know. when I'm in the UK, I have a pound is a pound. It just means a pound. Even if I go to the States, my dollar is my dollar, and that's what I'm spending, and I understand that that's just what it is. When I was new, I never ever thought about currency conversion unless I'm going on holiday, and even that, I know what my budget is. I'm having to spend that, and that is it. It's done. But when you live with it day in and day out, it feels very different. So if I'm coming to Ghana on a holiday, for example, and I've come with, I don't know, £1,000 or whatever, right? I know that this is right now during my 2-week holiday. This is what my £1,000 is going to get me, right? But when you live here for a long time, your £1,000 was giving you 16,000 cedis. Now it only gives me 10,000 cedis. It's a huge drop. Your lifestyle is literally going to be going like this, and it unnerves people, and I can understand why. There's just such high demand for foreign currency over Ghana's own currency. We love the pound, we love the dollar, we love the euro. Even for, Ghanaians here, like, hey, you come from the airport, if you give them $1, oh, they'll take the dollar. You could give them okay, so if the dollar right now, today as we speak, the dollar it's about 12.2 to, every dollar is about 12.2 at the moment, roughly there. On the black market, you probably get more, but, And then the pound right now is about 16 and a half, right? And so you can give a Ghanaian, okay, here's $1, or here's 12 cedis. They'll rather take the dollar because, if they hold on to this dollar, it might go up, and then maybe I'll get a bit more. But if you give them the cedi is just that. That's what it is. You've just given them 12 cedis. It's just 12 cedis. But if you give them the dollar, they know that, there's a chance that this could go up. Yeah, it could go down as well, but the chances are that it's going to get stronger at some point. So they'd rather have the dollar. And, Ghanaians like to flash with the dollar. It's if you got dollars, that's weight. But if you got the cedi, it's we all have the cedi. There's nothing to it. Do you know what I'm saying? But if you have the dollar definitely feels more weighty in comparison to, holding on to the cedi. Again, going back to imports, because of how we import stuff, how we buy stuff, how businesses run, we buy stuff from outside to sell, right? So therefore, it's like your cedi now is buying less and less and less and less. And so it becomes harder. So no one wants to hold on to the cedi. Everybody wants to hold on to the dollar, because if I'm going to the shop, my cedi is not going as far as it used to. Right now I can go to Melcom and I can do my shopping, and it comes to 500 cedis, and I've literally got 2 items. Whereas there's a time I have 500 cedis and I can buy 20 different things with it, So for me, I would rather hold on to the dollar and know that, at some point, I'm pretty sure the dollar's going to get stronger. Now my spending power is better. So it's like the cedi, every time you have the cedi, you're buying less and less and less and less and less. It doesn't, and prices in Ghana too, when they go up, they very, very, very rarely come down. And so it's like you're almost having to continuously find new ways to make money in order to survive because of how the cedi is set up. It's a hard currency if that's the only currency that you're coming into contact with. And so people there's no confidence in it. When it comes to politics as well, again, that plays another huge part in this, right? People feel like there's been such mismanagement when it comes to having funds in the system. And because of that, it scares people, right? So they don't have huge confidence in what the government is doing, how they're spending, how they're buying stuff, how they're importing, exporting, and things like that. So people take it upon themselves to, I'm going to look after my own household. I'm not going to rely on what the government is doing. And so they put their own measures into place. Again, what's the one thing that you can do here to stabilize yourself? It is to invest in foreign currency. So people will do that. They will hold on to the dollar, the pounds, or the euro, and they will have that as their backup. When it comes to savings in banks, most people rather save their money in those currencies rather than saving in cedis. Who's saving in cedis? I can save my cedis today, and before I know it, it's dropped. Now my buying power is so much less. It's like if I have, 20,000 cedis in the bank, I've put my money in, I bought something, right, with dollars. I've put the profit I've got is 20,000 cedis. I've put that into the bank. By the time I go to withdraw that and buy something else with it, the currency fluctuations change so much that my 20,000 cedis is not even 20,000 cedis anymore. It's now like 15. So I'm not going to save my money in cedis. I'm going to save it in dollar. Again, it puts pressure on the whole economy. And so people know that. We've had experience. We've been bitten. People have lost money because of how the money has, because of how the cedi has performed. And so therefore they're like, I'm not going to lose money again. So you know what? I'm going to put my savings into dollars or pounds, euros, whatever it is. We've seen it. There has been times where there's been uproar. You know, the government has tried to put things into place where they've tried to limit, people being able to hold dollars, actual dollars here in bank accounts. So to make it more difficult for people and to make people more susceptible or more understanding of the cedi, but it still hasn't worked. All people are doing is finding ways around how to be able to keep their money in dollars, whether they're opening bank accounts abroad or whatever. That's what is happening. And while there is no confidence in the cedi, it's going to remain that way. People are always going to look for ways that they can keep hold of foreign currency over what they can get for the cedi. I always say that for me personally, holding onto the cedi is like trying to hold water. The money just doesn't last. It's like it's just coming through your hands. And that same analogy can be used on the wider scale when it comes to spending cedis too. The government is having to pay debts. It's using dollars to repay the debts, and it's not refilling fast enough, right? We're not bringing that same currency in. So we're not exporting enough. So therefore, there's a lack of currency. And what happens is like people panic buy, right? So they're panic buying currency. Right now, people have not a lot of confidence. So what they're doing is they're going out and everybody wants the dollar. So every time there's a high demand for something, it rises. So right now, people are scrambling for the dollar. Like, where can I get the dollar? There's no dollars in the system apparently right now. So people are scrambling for the dollars. So therefore, it puts more demand on the dollar. So the need for the dollar rises because the demand is high, right? Anytime demand is high for something, it becomes more valuable to people, right? So now the dollar is rising against the cedi again. And it's just like, basically the whole thing is just a mess. It's just the whole thing. And it really does come down to the fact that people have no confidence in what the cedi can do because we haven't seen enough performing power. Back in the day when I first came to Ghana, the cedi, the pound was I think four cedis to every pound. And look where we are now. There was a time where the pound had even gone to, it was like 20, 21 on the black market, maybe even you can get 22, which is like wild. It's great if you have the pounds, right? But it's not so good for the economy. And until Ghana can prove itself over a long period of time that, the cedi is pretty much stable, like this is what you're going to get, then until that happens, people have no confidence in it. That's just what's happening. Everything is absolutely going up. Even now, local foods that have nothing to do with the dollar, the pound, or whatever, the prices are going up. So you can't even say, you know what? Well, let's just buy stuff that is homegrown, locally made. Because people are still trying, the way that Ghana is, everybody wants to have extra money, right? So because of that, they are now pricing and blaming it on other things. Even when it comes to things like plantain, people are like, well, it's not even a season thing where they're saying, okay, plantain is expensive because it's the season. They're saying, no, because of where we have to bring it from, the cost of fuel is so high right now that we have to put the price onto the plantain. So it's coming from here. So the price now for plantain is higher because of where it's coming from, because of the need for fuel. It's like every single time there's a reason why the price is going up and up and up. Somehow, locally produced products, we're somehow pegging it against the dollar because we're having to touch the dollar in some way, which makes prices for local things go up. It's crazy. It's crazy. So until there's confidence in the performing nature of the cedi, we're going to have this problem. It is going to fluctuate like that. It is going to go up and down. I don't know how we can rectify it in the long run, apart from it spanning over years where we have a little bit more of a hold on what the cedi can do. But again, the cedi is not a world-renowned currency, so therefore it's not going to. It's never going to perform. I'm sorry to say that. It's never going to perform like the dollar. People are not going to come from around the world and say, oh, let me get me some cedis. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Even the pound, as much as people recognize the pound, even the pound, some places, there's some countries you go to, I've been abroad before and they're like, oh no, we don't do the pounds. or it's harder to find places to change the pound, they'd rather you hold on to your dollars and use that over, you know, trying to just, you know, change the pound for you. They don't want the pound, they want the dollar. Everybody wants the dollar. And that's how it is. So the cedi, if the pound, people don't respect the pound in that way, there's no way that they're going to respect the cedi in that way just because of how things are. But anyway, I'm going to leave the video right there. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Let me know what your experience has been like. Has the fluctuation made you lose money, gain money? Can you see ways that you can win with this system? Let me know all in the comment section. I'd love to hear it. Okay, if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Don't forget to also like, comment, and share this video. Until next time, I am out. Netifafa.